the first of these is the mean. The mean is just the average. It's just another word for average. And so what you're going to do is add up all the values that you have, divide by the total number of values, and that gives you your average. Now, you don't need to physically do that because there's several different ways that you can use the technology to do it. Okay, so first, let's look at the TI-89. One way that you can do this is you can go into the data matrix editor. All right, so if you were to enter the data matrix editor on your calculator under the apps, you remember you can clear whatever your current one is by hitting F1 and then selecting 8, clear editor. It'll clear all of that. And what you can do here is you can just enter the entire list of numbers that you have in one column. Okay, so here I would enter, I'm just going to go down this list, enter all these values. Even though they're in separate columns here, I'm just entering them in one column on my calculator. All right, once I have them entered in my column, you can find all the information, all the statistical information that you need by running calculation, which is F5. Use that calculate tab. And when you do, what you're going to do is choose calculation type 1 variable. Okay, and so it's the very first one. Or one very. And so choosing that, you only need to identify which column represents X. Notice it doesn't even give you an option for Y because we're just entering 1, and that is C1. So column 1 has all my X terms in it, in my cell. And when I hit enter, it's going to give me all the statistical variables that you might need to use. Okay, so if you needed to find the mean, median, mode, and standard deviation all for one problem, you can easily put it in your calculator like this, go to data matrix editor, and then once you hit calculate, it'll give you all this information. The symbol that represents mean is the very first one. Okay, it's average X. So 45.27 approximately would be my answer. Okay, so all you have to do here is type in C1 and know that the symbol X with the bar over the top, that represents your average X or your mean. All right, we'll come back and talk more about the information that's in here. Okay, but let's take a look at a couple other things from this. If you were to go into this F6 tab where it says utility, and you could sort your columns. What sort column does is it puts it from smallest to largest. In a number of different, some of the other things that you might have to find, you might have to rank from smallest to largest. So you can do that using this utility tab. You can also find which values are the middle, which we'll talk about here in a second. Because if you know you have, in this case, we have 15 terms. If you wanted to find the halfway point, you could like scroll up to locate those as well. Okay. All right, but that's finding the mean. Now, there's a couple other ways that you can do this. I'm going to show you one other way on your calculator. Okay, because it might be easier just to stay in the home screen. If you want, you can enter a list of values that you can then have statistical measures be performed on just by using the braces symbols on your calculator, the curved brackets. So here, if you hit second parentheses, and then you type this whole list again and separate by commas, so 66, 5, 32, 52, 34, 76. Again, I'll just enter this information. But if you enter each of those pieces and separate them with commas, and then close the set of braces. So second, close the parentheses. Okay, so anything that this right here you can include in a set. Now, if I'm going to use this set and enter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to store this as a variable so I can go back in and access it without having to type the whole thing over and again. So if I hit this store button that creates a little arrow here on my display, I then give it a variable. I'm going to call it A and hit enter. So that means anytime I type in A, it's going to represent that whole list, and this whole list of values. So if I want to find the mean, I can go into this math tab right here, which is second 5. And what I can do is under statistics, option 6 for me, I can find the information I'm looking for. Mean is one of them. So I can just enter mean, type A, because A brings up that list that I just created. And when I hit enter, it gives me my value, which in decimal form, 45.27. Okay? So you can do it that way as well. Okay? And if you don't want to go into that, or if you forget where the math catalog is, what you can do is just type the word mean. So you can just alpha lock it, type in MEAN, close it off, and then type in wherever you stored your list, and once again, it will give you your answer. Okay. Again, enter your data. Okay. The potential benefit or the potential advantage of Excel is if you have a set of data that you can copy and paste on your computer, it'll be easier to copy it, paste it into Excel. In this case, again here, I'm just going to type in what I have. Right, so here's my set of cells. Okay. Now, when I have my set of cells, so what I can do is go to any empty cell. Okay, so if I'm using the Excel spreadsheet, okay, you're going to enter your data first. Go to any empty cell. And what you're going to do is you're going to start typing, and it's referencing an equation or function. And when you enter a function in a cell on Excel, what you need to do is start it with an equal sign. Typing average, and once you get to the word that you see, average, notice it has a parentheses. Inside that parentheses, what you're going to do is you're going to highlight the cells that you want it to create the average for, and then you close it off. And when you hit enter, you get the same answer that we got with the TID9. Okay? So you can use Excel to do that as well.